Well, the British government says a Russian spy ship sailing on the edge of UK waters has pointed lasers at the pilots of an RAF reconnaissance aircraft that was monitoring its activities. The Defence Secretary, John Healey, says it happened while the vessel was being tracked off the north of Scotland, where it had entered UK waters over the last few weeks. It is the second time the Russian ship, the Yantar, has made an incursion this year. It's used for intelligence gathering, including mapping undersea cables. Well, an RAF surveillance plane has been monitoring the ship's position off the northern coast of Scotland, and Mr. Healey said the United Kingdom is now living in a new era of threat. But the Russian embassy in London has accused the UK of being Russophobic and whipping up militaristic hysteria. Here's our security correspondent Frank Gardner.
The Yantar, Russia's deep-sea research vessel, or to some, a spy ship. It's long been suspected of secretly mapping out Britain's undersea cables, but now a new escalation. It's been revealed that RAF maritime patrol aircraft like this one have been targeted by those on board the Yantar with a laser beam aimed at the pilots, enough to prompt the Defence Secretary to issue this warning to Russia.
This is the second time this year that this ship, the Yantar, has deployed to UK waters. So my message to Russia and to Putin is this: we see you, we know what you're doing, and if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready.
As an island nation, Britain is heavily reliant on a network of undersea cables carrying data, as well as oil and gas pipelines. They're largely undefended and apparently of great interest to Russia's research vessels.
They are designed to spy, to conduct intelligence gathering operations, and you can do that in any number of ways. The most obvious one is they sit above our cables and our critical undersea infrastructure, and they nose around in the cables that transfer up to $7 trillion worth of financial interactions every day between us and America alone.
Based in the Arctic port of Murmansk, the Yantar can deploy miniature remotely piloted submarines capable of diving to thousands of meters. Every time that the Yantar, this Russian surveillance ship, pops up close to Britain's shores, it's a real worry for Britain's defence chiefs. But it's not the only worry. It comes as part of a pattern of wider Russian activity, testing NATO's resolve, its reactions and its defences. In September, more than 20 Russian drones crossed into Poland. Some were shot down, but 4 Polish airports were forced to temporarily close. There have also been incursions by Russian jets into NATO airspace over the Baltic. President Putin, seen today at an AI conference, gave no immediate reaction. Russia's embassy in London says it's not undermining UK security, but all this is happening while war rages in Ukraine, a war Putin blames on the West and which seemingly he has no intention of stopping soon. Frank Gardner, BBC News.
Let's get the view on this from Moscow. Our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg has been following developments from there.
There's been no reaction yet from the Kremlin. That's no real surprise. The Kremlin rarely rushes into reacting to accusations of this nature. And certainly reports of a Russian spy ship on the edge of UK waters, that in itself is not a surprise, because in recent years there have been multiple sightings of Russian surveillance vessels in European waters, which European officials suspect have been trying to map key underwater infrastructure. Clearly, Britain views Russia as a threat. But what's interesting is, here in Moscow, if you switch on Russian state television, you'll get the polar opposite picture. In other words, Britain here is portrayed as public enemy number one. A few days ago, a pro-Kremlin news outlet compiled a league table of so-called unfriendly governments, a kind of Premier League of Russia's biggest enemies, and top of the league is Britain. And a few days ago, the Russian army newspaper published an extraordinary article claiming that ever since the end of the 18th century, Britain has been trying to deal Russia a crushing defeat. All of this, I think, aims to fuel, to feed an alternative reality and convince Russians that their country is the victim of Western aggression.